Hello, coffee connoisseurs, and welcome to another episode of Coffee Snob Reviews. I'm your host, the Coffee Snob. Today we're doing something a little bit different. Let's talk about it. Every review that I have done on this channel, I have done completely blind. Therefore, you guys have gotten to witness my initial and first reactions to how a certain coffee tastes, how it smells, what the company is like. You guys have gotten to see my very first impressions. And that's typically the way that I like to do business here on this channel. However, today we're going to do something a little bit special. A good friend of mine asked me to do a review on Café Bustelo. Now, I initially reacted the typical coffee snob way. Cans coffee, we're too good for that here. But I thought about it. And the more I thought about it, the more I kind of realized that I am your typical average everyday coffee snob. And this here is your typical average everyday coffee. So I decided to order 3 cans, 2 of the Brazil variant, and I decided to taste it. And if I was impressed with it, especially being a canned coffee, I would make a video about it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Now, one of the first things that I noticed as soon as we get the foil open, thankfully there's no crazy bag that I have to try to rip open and not look like a fool doing so. One of the first things that you kind of really realize about this coffee is that it is ground extremely fine. This is more of a coffee powder, I swear, than it is a ground. So that's interesting. That was interesting to me because in other videos I've discussed how I make my coffee, and I tried to make it that way, and it was strong to my liking, but it was strong. I was hoping that you would be able to tell how finely ground this coffee is, but the camera doesn't seem to be doing it justice, but it is a very, very, very fine grind. Another reason why I was kind of on the fence about making this video is because I really enjoy supporting small business. I really like bringing light to small coffee companies. It's one of the things that I enjoy about doing this channel, other than getting to try all of these different coffees. When this was delivered to my home, the return label was to a Smucker's distribution warehouse. And while there's nothing wrong with that at all, this definitely isn't the typical small coffee company that I like to bring light to and support. So that kind of turned me off from doing this video a little bit, but the more I thought about it, the more I kind of thought it would be nice to change the pace a little bit. The next thing that you will notice about this coffee, and it's personally one of my favorite things about it, is how it smells. It has a very, very bold scent to it, in a good way, especially if you like stronger tasting coffee. I do, especially every once in a while. I like a really strong coffee. 3 or 4 scoops of this in your 1/8 cup scooper, you're going to scratch that itch. This is going to give you a really strong cup of coffee. That being said, generally speaking, Hispanic Latino style coffee is usually a little bit more strong and bold. There's a famous bit that Gabriel Iglesias does about being in some kind of like a Cuban restaurant. He ends up ordering a coffee and he comes out and it is tiny, and he's very confused, but it's tiny because Cuban coffee, Hispanic coffee in general, is usually very strong. And as a matter of fact, Cuban coffee is on my coffee bucket list. On my actual bucket list is Cuban coffee in Cuba. I don't think that will ever happen, but we'll see. So I bring that bit up about Gabriel Iglesias because, like I said, one of the first things that you will notice about this coffee is that it has a very strong, very, very bold scent. And that's important because a lot of the times, the way a coffee smells will essentially tell you how it's also going to taste. And that being said, like I told you, not going into this one blind, it is a very strong coffee. And that is honestly why I like it. So I'm going to go and I'm going to get this brewing. I'm going to get this started. For those of you watching at home, if you end up getting this coffee and you want to try it alongside the video, I will be using 2 scoops of this 1/8 cup, which, as I was in the middle of saying, made my brain hurt because that is 1/4 of a cup. And I will be filling the water all the way up to the 12. So if you're watching at home and you want to make this coffee, this is exactly how I will be doing it. So while we're waiting for the coffee to brew, why don't we talk about Café Bustelo for a little bit. As always, if you want to try Café Bustelo, I will have a link to their website in the description of this video. There you can also find the things that we're going to be talking about. Café Bustelo was started by Gregorio Bustelo nearly a century ago. The coffee company started in East Harlem in 1928. The coffee company was inspired by deep Latin roots, as Gregorio founded his company on 3 principles: his love for delicious Latin coffee, supporting his community, and bringing people together. Those are 3 principles that I absolutely support and can get 100% behind. And speaking of supporting your community, Café Bustelo has teamed up with the nonprofit Seeds for Progress Foundation to support the Nicaraguan community. Café Bustelo also offers a Hispanic student scholarship, which is huge. Any kind of scholarship when you're going to school is huge. Any kind of money that you can get and not have to pay back is huge. So if you're a Hispanic student, I highly recommend that you check out this website simply for the scholarship, even if you don't drink coffee. And again, all of this can be found on their website, which I will absolutely have linked in the description of this video below. But I just heard the coffee maker beep, so let's go drink some coffee. So we're back. This is the first taste. No sugar, no kind of sweetener, nothing like that. Again, not going into this one blind. Cheers, guys. It has the same bold scent that I remember. That's good. That's good. Even with just a quarter cup of coffee grounds, more like coffee powder, it's still very strong in a good way. I like strong coffee. I wanted strong coffee. Now, I'm going to be honest, this is not a bad coffee, especially for being a canned coffee, especially for being a cheaper coffee, okay? There is a little bit of acidity in this coffee. A lot of the times when I'm dealing with something stronger, I'm like, ooh, this is really good. It's bold. It doesn't have a whole lot of acidity to it. This does have some acidity to it. Be warned. Be warned. It's not bad. It's not as bad as it could be. It's definitely nowhere near as bad as some of the canned variants of coffee that I have had can be, but there is definitely an acidic kick in this. But with that being said, that can be enjoyable sometimes. Overall, this really is not a bad coffee. Like, as far as canned coffee goes, this has become my favorite canned coffee. If I'm not able to get some of the bagged coffees that I like, if I cannot afford it, because let's be real, we all fall on hard times on occasion, this is a really good coffee. This is my go-to coffee. I'm really happy that my friend recommended it to me, and in all honesty, I'm even more happy that I decided to keep an open mind to it. So I think one of my favorite things about this coffee is that even though it is a strong coffee, please do not misunderstand me, it is definitely a strong coffee. It's not bitter. There's a little acidity to it. It has a very, very bold flavor, but it's not overly bitter. There's no super bitter, lingering aftertaste that I get with other kinds of canned coffee. There's no absurdly bitter and badly tasting coffee breath coming up off of my breath that's reminding me how bitter this coffee was. Café Bustelo is a good canned coffee. I'm sold on it. So overall, I'm pretty impressed with this canned coffee. I'm pretty impressed with trying it the way that we've tried it. However, I've yet to try it sweetened. So after we get it sweetened, we're still going to use a sugar substitute. I'm still watching my coffee snobbish figure. After we get this sweetened, I will officially be going back to a blind taste test because I have yet to put any kind of sweetener in any kind of a Café Bustelo coffee. So let's go do that, let's go take care of that, and let's get right back to the show. So we're back. This is taste number 2, sweetened. We have a sugar substitute, which is more of like a sugar alcohol, which hits the body more like a carbohydrate than a sugar. Not that that was really important. Let's taste the coffee. That's what's important. Cheers, guys. I was not expecting that at all. It's usually when I sweeten a coffee, it changes the taste, okay? It changes the dynamic. It brings out certain cupping notes that were a little bit more mild tasting, and this tastes the same with a sweet aftertaste, and I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't expecting that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying I wasn't ready for that. That was a little bit weird. I actually kind of don't know how to explain this one. It's crazy to me that this coffee has managed to stay uniform from scent to an unsweetened taste all the way to a sweetened taste. This coffee has had the same base taste the whole way through. And it's just different. It's not something that I'm used to. It's really, really good. It's really, really interesting. It's a little bit interesting. It's a little bit weird to me that like the sugar aftertaste, it catches me a little bit off guard. It's kind of like it tastes like exactly how it tasted before there was any kind of sugar in it. You swallow it, it still has that same taste, and then you kind of get hit with an aftertaste of sweetness, and it's a unique dynamic, and it's kind of cool. That being said, I kind of prefer it without the sugar. Not that there's really much of a difference. All in all, I'm really glad that I gave Café Bustelo a try. I'm really glad that it was recommended to me, and to the friends who did recommend this to me, thank you very much for doing so, and thank you even more for taking an interest in my channel. I really appreciate you, I really appreciate our friendship, and thank you for being my friend. And to the rest of you, thank you guys very much for tuning in, for watching, spending a little bit of your time watching my video. I really appreciate it, I really appreciate you. Unfortunately, this is all the time that I've got today for coffee reviews. I know, this is my least favorite part of the video too. Thank you all again very much for tuning in. I really, really do appreciate it. And you guys, remember, anytime is a wonderful time for coffee, and I can't wait to see you guys on the next one. Peace out, guys. Fun fact, coffee's been around since about 800 AD. Another reason why I was kind of on the fence about making this video is because I really like which is I was in the middle of sating, but I just heard the coffee pot beep. And to the rest of you guys, this is about all the time that I have to wrap things up for. Hey, here's some signs you drink way too much coffee. Sign number 1, you answer the door before people knock. Sign number 2, you go skiing uphill. Sign number 3, you anxiously bite other people's fingernails. You run a YouTube channel talking about coffee. Tell us about the coffee, Zelda. Hey, just a quick reminder, you can add me on Twitter, where by the time you see this video, I will have posted the coffees I'm planning on reviewing in August of 2023. Alright, thank you very much for watching again. Have a wonderful day, and go have a cup of coffee.